So a little bit of background while we're getting set up. Route 11 Rivals is a war game that supposes what would happen if 4 universities up here in the North Country were forced suddenly, as they are right now with their current resource allocations, into rigorous multidisciplinary academic combat. And the way that you keep track of your specific, let me not drop that. The way that you keep track of your specific benefits and what you have unlocked versus not is you have these reference cards. There's a set of reference cards for your production level, your technology level, your enrollment level, your communication level, and your movement level. And each of these affect different parts of the game relative to how you can use your units and what you're able to do with your turns. So each turn you have 2 actions that you can perform, and there are some other ways of getting additional actions that we may mention later depending on what people decide to do. But for most instances you'll have 2 actions to use per turn, and you can use an action to move troops dictated based on your movement score. You can research new technologies and abilities on the research tree, or you can produce technologies that you've researched in the event in the case of certain vehicles that are hard, tangible things. And your ability to do all those things is related to your stats, which go up and down based on things that you research during the game and specific territories that you take. So,
if you want to start playing, I can start explaining.
Sure. Yeah, sure.
So it's 4-player. It's 2 to 4-player game. Basically, if you choose 2 players, you have to choose either one of the opposite sides. So, like Potsdam versus St. Lawrence or Clarkson versus Canton. That way, you're just not immediately right next to each other. Or if you play 4-player, then you just use all 4 people.
Yeah.
So basically, we're still trying to figure out if we want to do a roll to start. What I'm thinking might be a better idea is that if you're playing with people that happen to be from the school, whoever has more people that's been at that school gets to start. Or if it's even, then Clarkson starts.
Because of bias.
Yes, because of bias. So everyone starts with 4 units on their home square automatically. And for this, we'll just have Clarkson start, and then it'll go around to Potsdam, Canton, and then St. Lawrence.
Yeah. Alrighty. So for my first action, Clarkson starts off with the highest starting tech level in the game. We have tech level 2 researched, which is boats. So the tech tree goes transports, boats, tanks, UAVs. So Clarkson starts off with boats. So I'm going to use my first action, and Clarkson also starts off with level 1 production, which enables you to produce 1 unit of physical technology per action. So I'm going to use my level 1 production and my existing research to turn one of my units into a boat unit, or attach a boat to one of my units. In this instance, the large clips are boats. Let's roll with us. So that is my first turn action. My second turn action is going to be movement. So I have no starting movement. You want to explain the
Yes, so for movement, basically, if you choose to use movement as an action, you get 5 movement points. Basically, so a base unit with no transport on it, and also with no stuff from the tech tree for the movement category. It is to move 1 tile is 1 point, and you have 4 tokens. So technically, you could move each of them 1 spot, and then one of them an extra spot for 5 points, or you can choose to send that one unit for a full 5 squares away. In the game, it's kind of hard to see, but all the tiles, it's not hex based. It's more based off of the actual layout of St. Lawrence, with using a lot of the actual roads as dividers. So you can only cross an actual line. You can't jump over a corner. So you can't go diagonal on a corner. And so if you want to do your move.
You also can't cross rivers,
Yeah.
other than at bridges, or if your unit has a boat attached to it. My unit does have a boat attached to it, so I don't have any other starting movement buffs. So I just have 5 spaces that I can move. So I'm going to take my boat piece, I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 across the river, and I'm going to go 5. Move one other unit out of my base, and that concludes my turn.
All right. So then going on to me, I'm also going to use a production to make a boat. We kind of learned that boats were kind of a little bit too overpowered, or at least powered in our play test, right?
Yeah, it's still balancing.
Yeah. We gotta fix that. But and then with that, I'm gonna head towards actually this Stewie's location and kind of set up a provisional line. So one of the features which I guess we'll get to in terms of combat is that located across the map there's multiple steward shops locations. When two schools or universities get into combat and they start fighting each other, if a significant amount of units are destroyed, some of those units will actually go and go to a Stewie's, I guess. And what we have is we have some dice here where, let's say that, just for now, I mean, we'll get to it probably in about a rotation or two, but Joe and I choose to fight, and we have 3 or so units that get caught in the crossfire and get destroyed. Half of those rounding down, so only 1 unit would return to a Stewie's, we'd mark it, and then Joe, if he wanted to, could go and claim that unit if he went and took control of the tile that has the Stewie's on it. So that's what I'm going to prioritize, and it's my turn.
Okay, for my turn, I will be doing a research and using 1 research action. The amount of research actions that correspond with how many turns it takes to research something is proportional to its level. So a level 1 tech tree item takes 1 turn to research. So I'm going to research the rusty campus bus, which allows me to move 2 spaces on my first turn away from here. Very similar to the first move a pawn gets in chess. So I will, for my second action, I will do movement, and since I have 5, I will do 1 using the rusty campus bus, and then 2 and 3 to take the point of interest in the corner. In this case, this is the Canadian border. So the Canadian border allows me to double my movement. So now that I have 3 points of movement remaining, I will do, and each point now gets me 2 spaces of movement because my movement is doubled. So we can do 1, 2, and there's 1 more point, 1, 2, and there's 1 more point, and 1, 2, which is 1 more. So now my movement is, I have none left.
Just take this straight. Wait, is this the green line?
You can go
Yeah.
across, yeah.
Okay. That's 2. Here.
Alrighty. So now that we've come back around to me, and it's the second round of turns, everyone has a base enrollment of 2. That means that every turn you can take you receive 2 new units automatically. They start at your home school. You also have the option to refuse enrollment and in exchange gain another action, so to go up to 3 total actions in exchange for getting no new units automatically from the game. But I'm going to take my 2 units this time. My first action is going to be to research. Use one research event to get the rusty campus bus. Alright, so now I have my rusty campus bus, which, like Matt was saying, allows me to start up my opening move off of my home base is 2 spaces away for the cost of 1. So I'm going to move 1 point to the stewards here, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I take the ski mountain. So the ski mountain doubles your base enrollment, because you wouldn't want to go to a school with a ski mountain. So that'll be the conclusion of my turn there.
All right. I guess just to get to all the interesting aspects of the game.
Make it spicy.
Yeah, we're gonna make it interesting. So, yeah, as a part of, or the kind of, I guess, second turn or second rotation around the table, I get 2 units. I'm immediately going to move those units. I'm going to take 2 of them, move them there. That gives me, yeah, that gives me like 1 point movement left, which is nothing. So I guess I'm not going to attack you today. We'll go around one more time and I'll make it happen. But
I'll get you
then
first.
with that, I'm actually going to use my other action as research for movement to be able to get some bonus movement here and there. And with that, that's my turn. On you.
Okay, for my turn, I'm also going to do my enrollment. I'm not going to sacrifice that action. Then I'm going to spend 1 research point on the first tier of enrollment, which is the Badly Designed Club posters, which gains you 1 additional unit. I could continuously use that to research, but I could continuously research this in order to gain that 1 additional unit per turn. But it also allows me to get to the next tiers of enrollment, so I'm going to add 1 unit, and then I have 1 action left, so I'm going to research the first tier of communications. And that should be the end of my turn.
And so in the game, communications is if you want to take your turn, I can explain. So communications basically is a flat debust to your roll that you do when you attack. If you go too far outside of away from your base without having a high enough communication stat, it basically falls off. So let's say you have a communication level of 3. You will have no debuff if you are within 3 tiles of your original one, of your original base. If you are 4 or 5 tiles away, you'll have -1. If you're outside of that, you'll have -2. And that applies to both the defender and the attacker.
Yeah, we found that it's a little bit.
Yeah,
It's a little bit.
that's probably the
Communication needs a
biggest-
little bit of tweaking right now.
As it stands, it's a little bit too strong. If your communication is poor, even if you have double or triple the numbers that they do, you'll probably still lose.
It'll just be a really slow, painful loss.
Yeah.
You were just unlucky, that's all.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, the combat system and communication right now, one of the things we're working on is finding a way. We want to leave it slightly defender balanced, or slightly defender biased, just because that's typically how things work in real life. And we also want to still have communication baked into the game, so that you can't just get 1 unit that runs around the board with nothing connected to it and wrecks house. But right now, like they're saying, it is very difficult to overcome. Like, defending in this game is very powerful, especially if you're close to your home base. It's very hard to dislodge anyone,
Yeah.
even if you are vastly numerically superior to them.
Yeah.
Alright, so I upgraded my movement to level 2. And take the stewards. Oh. Do I still do my? I do still, yeah.
Yeah. You too, then.
All right. So I am going to open my next turn by starting researching communication level 1, which adds 1 to my existing base communications level of 1. So that means that now I can attack up to 2 squares away or 2 tiles away from my home base without incurring a communication penalty. For my next action, I'm going to move my boat 1. I'm going to use my second movement point to initiate combat, but before I initiate combat, I'm going to finish the rest of my movements.
You have to finish all your points for movement before you start a combat. You can basically initiate it by putting it into the square, and that counts as a movement point. But you can't get out. You can't stop the movement phase until you either say that's all the movement you want to do, or you use all your points. And then once that movement turn's done, then you initiate the attack.
And then if I, as the attacker, choose to retreat out of combat before all of my units are lost, in this case that won't happen because I only have 1 unit involved in the conflict. But if I have multiple units involved in combat and I choose to withdraw after a loss, I'll just retreat to the square that I attacked from without a movement penalty. But that's as far as I go. So I've finished my movement. I moved my other token here across the bridge. So now it's time to fight. And and I'm going to fight St. Lawrence.
So the first thing you have to do when you start an attack is you have to basically count how many squares away you are from your home base and that will get you your communication debuff. So currently, how many squares away are you?
I am 5
Squares
and
away,
I have a
and you are
stat of 2.
communication level 2?
Yes.
Yeah. So he's communication level 2, and he is 5 squares away. So that would be, so you get 2 squares of no debuff, and then it's another 2 squares of 1, so he's in the -2 range. So whatever he rolls will have a -2 on it.
This is not a very smart situation to attack him, but I want to showcase the game
Yeah.
mechanics.
Harry is only 1 away, so he has no debuffs, so they both roll. And
Damn.
they both roll a 1.
These dice are weighted, I swear.
So Joe would actually be at -1 after the debuffs, so Harry would have won that. And so you look at, basically, we have this chart that basically shows you how everything, if you're going to win or not. It has, if you have more units, you get an advantage. So in this case, it's 1-on-1s, right?
Yeah.
1-on-1, so it's neutral. And then it was a higher roll for the defender, so attack is -1.
So that's the end of my unit here.
And if there was more than one, you know, that unit would transfer to the nearest Stewie's, but because we didn't want it just to get clogged up by having like single units immediately die and then
Because then you don't have to deal with how do you work
Yeah,
with
have-
half of a unit.
yeah, have it instantly respawn. You know. Alright.
So that unit is just eviscerated now.
Yeah, he's gone. All right, now your turn.
That will be the end of my turn.
All right. Trying to think of where else or what else to show off. Like, what else do we got to?
Just attack, honestly.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Go crazy.
I'm gonna go for Joe. All right. Get my 2 units.
I also forgot to say it during my turn, but since taking the ski mountain, I take ×2 enrollment, so my base enrollment is now 4, so I put 4 units on my center guy.
All right. So.
There is also a penalty for having too many troops in one location. It is just that if you are basically defending or attacking and you have more than 5 troops in your square, your advantage for having more troops only counts up to 5. So having 6 doesn't actually do anything beyond just having an extra. If you lose, you just have an extra 1 to still stay at that 5. But
It's a psychological effect.
yeah.
Having your opponent see, 30 pieces stacked on top of one another. All right. So as a part of my turn, I'm actually going to forego getting new units, on this come around, and I'm going to use. I'm going to get research into level 1 of communications, just to give me a little bit more range. Then with that, I'm going to try and make the mad dash. 1, 2.
Right to his home base.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Well, no, we got to show what a loss looks like.
Gotta throw down.
Yeah. All right. So I'm just gonna throw those away for you. Get dice.
Throw those away, and we'll actually have enough going on here to load the
So
stewards.
basically, Joe it's on his home base, so he has no penalty for the roll. Morgan is very far outside his communication range, so he is -2. And so we go back to another attack.
Oh, come on.
It's a 1.
Hey, it's a 3.
Okay, so
I'm at a 1.
Dice.
that would be so you're -2, so
Oh, it's a tie.
It's a tie on the roll. And it's also, so currently Joe has more, so it's defender biased. So that means that neutral defender biased is attack -1.
All right. Yeah.
So we'll set that aside. Do you choose to continue your attack or withdraw?
I'm gonna go for a withdrawal, I think.
All right, so Morgan's withdrawing. He'll retreat to the tile that he attacked from, which is right next to my stack of 6 units. So
Yeah, it's not a good withdrawal, but it's a withdrawal.
he has potentially time.
And you get your second action.
Something important.
No,
if
I already
you're,
did
if you're
it.
thinking you might be
Oh,
going for an attack that may not succeed, you might want to choose to move an attack on your first action so that you can use your second action to more fully retreat your troops away. Unfortunately for Morgan, he is out of actions for this turn, so he will just have to sit there and wait until it's my turn again.
Yeah. And so, it's on my turn.
Okay, so for my turn, I will continue with my normal enrollment, and then using both of my actions, I will use both on research to get the washed up celebrity concert, so I get 4 additional units. So I will now then add 4 additional units to my home base. And that is the end of my turn.
I'm using one of my actions to upgrade my production to Facebook Marketplace scrap collection. And my second action, I'll take this interest.
Yeah, you get 2 more moves if you want to. It's 3 more, sorry.
Was there anything else you want to fan
If you
out?
want to move it, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Take the Stewart's back again.
Alrighty, so that brings us around to the start of another turn cycle. I know are we thinking we want to stop here? Do we want to showcase one more round?
You attack, and it's,
Okay,
we'll see,
yeah.
we'll see it in,
I'll see if I can eviscerate Morgan's.
Yeah, shred
troops.
so,
So
for once.
I'm gonna forego taking troops this turn. I'm gonna use 2 of my turn actions to research level 2 production, which enables me to make 2 units per turn, whatever that is. Which is the Catholic Converter Scrap Collector card.
Yeah, all the cards have, you really cooked them the name. really knocked it out of the park.
And then, yes, so those are my first 2 actions, and then for my second action, I will use 1, well, it'll be a movement turn technically, so I'm gonna move 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I'm gonna attack with my 2 central units on my base for number 5.
Excellent.
So Morgan still has a -2,
Please, anything
and
but a
Joe
1.
has a
Oh, I got a 6.
6.
Oh.
Okay, so that means it's attacker favored on both more units and also on the higher roll, so it would be defense -2, but he only has 1, so it just goes away.
Yeah.
All right, so that's pretty much all of our, most or all of the mechanics of our game. You know,
Tanks, like some of the later technology behaves similar to infantry, just with it's a little bit more resilient. Takes 2 losses in combat to take down, and then UAVs have some special rules associated with them. Do we want to award someone a UAV to use for the next turn so that we can demonstrate that?
So basically for UAVs, if one of you guys want to try to do it.
yeah,
So
you can
for-
get it from Mulligan. You
For
can get a free
UAVs,
UAV
it
too.
Okay,
is very
cool.
hard to get to because you need to get to level 4 of the tech tree on the tech side, and then also it costs 5 production points to research. The benefit is it allows you to basically just say, I want to attack anywhere on the board on a single one. It does have a cooldown, so you can only use it 1 every 3 turns. And the other downside is you can't attack a tile that has 1 troop or less, just because we don't want. It's more for attacking like basically death stacks of troops that are on 1 tile. So it's a good way that if you have basically a bunch of tiles coming right towards you, you can attack it and get rid of it. But if you only have 1 troop in a tile, it's they can hide themselves well enough to not have to worry about UAV.
You also can't take any territory with it. It just moves. It just defeats units and moves them out of your way. You can't take any territory with UAV. So we're going to pretend that I have another action. I'm going to choose to use my UAV on the death stack at SUNY Canton.
So basically,
Did we figure out if I roll for effect on that, or
no. So
or
basically,
it just
you just
lops 1 off?
So basically, you roll, and if it's a 6 or a 5, it takes 2 off. At 3 or 4, it takes 1 off, or a 1 or a 2, it takes nothing off.
I got a 2, so nothing happens.
So nothing happens. Yep.
Terrific luck I have in this game.
Yeah.
But that is the UAV. Tanks work similar to infantry, just with a few extra steps. And other than that, I think that's all of our critical mechanics
Yeah.
displayed.
The game is more, you know, obviously as you go through turns and you go over time, it's going to fan out and you can get really complex and annoying, as we did last night. But
We had a good long play test session last night to really flesh things out. We were surprised that we never broke the game, although I'm sure if someone sat down and really thought about the game that we've made, it could be broken right now. We did identify that the 2x multipliers at the corners for special effects can be a little busted and probably need a little bit of tweaking. And also that combat in general. Combat last night was very heavily biased towards the defenders. I think today it was a little bit better. But even then, the communication stat needs a little bit of work to not be a kneecap for anything other than defense early in the game.
Yeah.
But yeah, does anyone have any questions for us? Did everyone get a chance to see the actual pieces? Okay, cool.